I have traveled to 90 countries of the world. I've lived in Taiwan. I'm happy to be able to meet some friends today from Taiwan, and also Japan. I've been to the airport in Japan 4 times, and finally this year I left the airport and came into Tokyo. We went to the new Otani Hotel and got to experience the waterfall and see some beautiful parks and eat some amazing food. And we stayed at the Royal Riga Hotel in a nice local Japanese area and got to experience some of the culture and the amazing people and the hospitality and the kindness of the Japanese people is fantastic. There's no other country, in my opinion, as clean as Japan thus far in my travels to 90 nations, and I've lived in Europe, Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So the world has much to learn from Japan, and I'm very grateful to be here and to experience and travel and see and explore your museums and walk along the streets and just see all of the amazing things you have, which maybe you take for granted. I hope not. So thank you for what you have contributed to the international community as Japanese, first and foremost, and thanks for your hospitality and coming today. I have written an article on AI as it pertains to pro se litigation, helping self-represented litigants in court who maybe cannot afford attorneys to be able to utilize artificial intelligence to assist them in litigation, whether it is in civil litigation for commercial disputes or consumer wrongs committed by corporations, or even family matters and domestic cases. And I am currently involved in both. And when I realized in California it costs $10,000 just to put a retainer down to obtain legal counsel from an attorney in California in the San Francisco Bay Area, I thought, well, wow, that's pretty steep for an educator. You know, educators aren't paid very well in the United States, sadly. So I thought, this is very costly. There must be a better way. And in Florida, there was an attorney recently who said to me, well, I can represent you in your family matter, but I need a $6,000 US dollar retainer prior to working on your case. So then I began to take courses online. Maybe you're familiar with Coursera, which is a great online learning platform in which many great universities from Harvard to MIT and Yale and Columbia and others across the world like Cambridge and Oxford, they utilize this and provide small sample courses for those who wish to learn online. And I've completed many courses online with Coursera. And they had a few on AI. University of Maryland has one in education for teachers in AI and empowering you for your career advancement. I took that course, I completed that. I took one in business AI with Columbia. I took another one with Harvard Review in AI, and I began to remove some of my skepticism, because in the beginning I was quite skeptical of AI because I learned and read about some of the biometrics that they use in Las Vegas for people who go and gamble in casinos. And the AI was wrong when it looked at Michelle Obama, the first lady, married to President Barack Obama, and said, well, that's a man. Or Maya Angelou, who was Oprah's mentor, and said, well, this woman is a man. And sometimes they were inaccurate in identifying people individually as to their gender. And I thought, well, how accurate can AI be if it's making such failures? And then in the state of Texas, a lot of the standardized tests are being graded by AI, specifically the essay portion, and I created some assignments for that for educators in the United States, and I realized, wow, so the Texas, you know, they can save $6 to $13 million by providing AI to grade all of these standardized tests, but 60% of the students now are Latinos who speak Spanish. English is not their first language, and if they write an essay and they use a word in Spanish that AI flags and does not identify as English, they could have their test graded differently, and that could produce some inequality and thereby be a form of discrimination, arguably. And so AI could be seen to have a bias against Latinos who are not speaking English as their first language, or as others maybe from Asia and other ethnicities and countries. We have a lot of students from Haiti, which is a small island south of Miami, Florida. I'm from Florida, Orlando, and we also went to Disneyland in Tokyo. My wife enjoyed that very much, and I used to work at Disney World, so I know a lot about entertainment and education and how these young people think. I've had students in California and Florida who think they can game the system and avoid writing an essay and use AI in class, and it doesn't go well, and I put it in plagiarism or duplicate checker, a simple website, and identify where they got that article, and they just copied and pasted it from somewhere. So AI has its flaws, it has its imperfections, but it can be very useful. And when I was originally looking at AI, I was very skeptical. And I was somewhat anti-AI, or maybe hesitant to use it. But when I realized how expensive it is to go to court, I thought, maybe I can use this AI in court to help me file documents and not have to pay these lawyers who are very expensive. So then I was successful in filing many cases with the legal system in Orange County, Florida, also Lake County, Florida. And to my surprise, it went rather well. Now, I teach in China, and I have 2 lawyers who are also teaching in China with me. And one of them was on the bus with me when we went to get our medical exam done in Henan in Zhengzhou, where we live. And he told me, yes, 50% of all the lawyers I know in Kansas are using AI. So I thought, wow, you lawyers are cutting corners too, huh? So I thought if the lawyers are using AI, then maybe I should be a little more trusting. So wherever people are working together with AI and utilizing it, the AI improves in my experience. So the more you use AI, the better it gets over time. However, I have also caught AI at times making mistakes. When I was filing multiple cases and documents, sometimes it was dealing with a woman, so it was her as a pronoun. Then I had another time when it was a him, and I caught and I edited and I read through the document, and I noticed, you got the pronoun wrong here. It's supposed to be him, not her. And the chat GPT says, good catch. So sometimes you'll catch it and they'll admit they're wrong, but you have to be attentive and alert. People don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. Oftentimes AI is no different. So I took a course with IBM, prompt engineering. It's on Coursera, it's free, it's a great course, I recommend it highly. And prompt engineering teaches you how to ask the right questions, frame and guide AI when you are leading it and guiding it and directing it to produce a specific outcome. I've written 100 books, surprisingly, and maybe I'm very bored in life. I just like to write books and research topics of many different facets. And now I've learned AI can help me. I can upload my book into AI and I can say, help me write a 3,000-page word on this topic, of which I've already written a book, but let's scale it down and highlight the key points for an article on this topic, maybe related to emotional intelligence, because I wrote a book titled Update Your Identity, and another one, Breakthrough for a Broken Heart, because we all go through disappointments and tragedy and situations that catch us unaware. Even divorce. I've been divorced. I wrote a book called Divorce Your Devil. Sometimes we have some difficulties and trauma or tension in relationships. So some things AI cannot experience. The human experience is unique and cannot be felt by AI. So we have to find ways to express that in the proper vernacular and words and patiently process this whole AI interaction as it is occurring. So legal documents, queries, I'm not a lawyer, and as I go on the Orange County, Florida website, I was like, well, what box do I click when I file this document? Is it a civil or a domestic document? And I would oftentimes not know. So I would ask AI, and they were actually very helpful. And they would say, well, choose this one. And I was like, well, that category doesn't exist in this county. So then they come back and they tell me, well, then choose this one. And if it doesn't exist, okay, choose other. So it's a process. Sometimes you have to be patient and be willing to feed it the information it needs, because you're the eyes to AI. And the legal system now, surprisingly, in the state of Florida, is requiring attorneys to be more conciliatory and pursue mediation. I've been trained in mediation and conflict resolution from Hofstra Law School, and mediation means that they're encouraging attorneys to resolve their disputes out of court, because there are so few judges now that they have not enough time to process all the cases, and their caseload is overwhelming the judges, and therefore they are trying to, by law, procedurally require attorneys to communicate prior to even going before a judge. So I realized, wow, AI, according to my attorney who now represents me, I used AI to file all these documents, and now that I'm as exhausted from the whole legal process, then after I filed all the documents, then I hired an attorney to represent me on each case to run with it and do the verbal arguments before the judge, which was a wise decision. But she told me, had I not filed those documents, she herself could not have filed those documents because the Florida legal system requires mediation prior to going before a judge. So that gives you an edge if you utilize AI, and if you are a self-represented litigant who's not an attorney, you don't have to abide by those new procedural protocols, which was amazing. I had not known that. Now, I also recently wrote a paper about arbitration. Corporations, oftentimes, when you lease or you buy a car in the United States, they'll require you to sign a contract that has a predetermined arbitration clause written therein. So if there's a manufactured defect, or your car is a lemon, or there's something wrong with it later on, you can't go back and sue the manufacturer and get your money back. You have to go through arbitration, which is a clever way for the corporation to have an edge and to keep you out of court. But once again, if you're not using an attorney, there's a way around that, and AI can help those who are patient and wise litigants and willing to pursue litigation on their own accord. Now, more freedom, of course, exists for pro se litigants when you are self-representing yourself, but there are some challenges, and like I said, you have to be patient and you have to be perseverant, as I learned and discovered myself. But nonetheless, it has proven to be very helpful, and it helped relieve a lot of my skepticism. So AI thus can be a money saver and provide a legal edge for patient and astute pro se litigants. Now, hallucinations do occur when I write various papers for academic journals. I've noticed, first thing I do is I work backwards. I look at all the citations and I tell AI, give me all the experts who've written on this topic. And then a lot of times I say, give me the web link where that source came from. And I work backwards and I look through all of them. Usually 30% or more, they don't exist. So I go, where's the website that you get this information from? And half the time there is no such website. But maybe it was partially correct. So then I go back and I search for Google to provide me the article title, and maybe it was written by a different named writer or academic, and then I'll find another website. So it can get you moving in the process, but AI is not perfect, I can assure you. So hallucinations do occur. Check your citations and you may find them first and foremost there. Then pronouns, as I mentioned with legal documents. The devil could be sometimes in the details. I've caught ChatGPT at times, and I paid for ChatGPT for a month or two. And then I even told ChatGPT, if you don't do a better job, I'm going to use DeepSeek. Then I told DeepSeek, if you don't do a better job, I'm going to go to work with ChatGPT. So I let them compete a little bit. Have some fun. Compare and contrast and see what they will produce. And sometimes one day, ChatGPT may fail and may not even work because too many people are using it, and it's slow and fumbling and bumbling and tripping up and hiccuping and not working well. And then sometimes DeepSeek doesn't work so well. So have some fun and play with them all. Also with creating images, I find some other AI is better at creating images for Instagram than ChatGPT or even DeepSeek. So like people, AI does not always do what you expect, as I said, but what you inspect. Therefore, be proactive, cautious, and exercise discretion and oversight to ensure accurate prompt engineering. Lastly, take it slow. Life is sweeter when you take it slow. When we're walking around beautiful Osaka, you see more. When you walk, if you're in a train, you miss so much. Bite by bite, you have to digest, you have to assimilate, you have to eliminate. It's no different when you're writing an article or writing a paper. It usually takes longer than you think. It's like building a house or cooking a good meal. Microwave food doesn't taste very good, now does it? You go to a place where the food's cooked well with love by grandma or mom, it's going to taste a lot better. So in all education, I think the true goal, as I've told my students over the years, is to help them find their voice, whether it's through writing or speaking. Some students are better at writing, some students are better at speaking, but ultimately, you need to find your own voice and be authentic and true to you, and AI can help alleviate some of your fears and inhibitions when speaking or writing, but ultimately, you need to find a way to incorporate your own voice therein and not let AI lead the way, but you lead the way and just take bits and pieces and what you learned therein and add it into the recipe or the formula for your own success and expression. And don't live as a copy. You're born an original. Be authentic, right? So I encourage you, my friends, stay curious, childlike, playful, creative, hungry, humble, and enjoy the journey.